Okay, in this video we're going to go over the customer list and also how to add a new customer. Okay, so let's start with adding a new customer, and that's really anything new. Big green button in the top left hand corner, new. What do we want to do? A new appointment, new task, new customer, new contract, new PO. Obviously we want to do a new customer. And let me change this. I'm logged in as a manager, so it's allowing me to put that contact on anybody's list that I want. But I want to put it on my own. Okay, what's the business name? And we'll just call this test customer 1. Okay. I kind of skipped over this. Is this an agency account or not? If it is, turn that to yes. Select the agency it's tied to. Okay. And your manager will have had to have added these to the agency list, which is over here. And if you're just a regular sales rep, you won't actually see that. So make sure if it is an agency, you have your manager add the agency list to the agency list over here. Okay. Now, what kind of product type is it? So it's important that you select what this is, because this integrates with Google Maps. Okay. And then we got some customer info. First name, last name, phone numbers, all that good stuff. So let's just put in the first name. If you don't have the first name, just put in NA. And I think that's all you have to fill out. I'm not sure. Let's see if it lets us add this. Actually, before we do that, just want to make sure you guys got everything here. Phone number, mobile, all that good stuff in here. But you can also add their social media information. Okay. And you can add a second contact too. So if it's a mom and pop store, you can add another one of these customer info areas to where you can store multiple sales managers or whatever for that company in here. You can do that. And other info is just a place to add some info if you want. Okay. So we're going to hit save changes on this, and it should let me. Yep. So that's all we really got to do. And I'm going to go over to T here real quick to go to test to make sure it got added. And there it is. Now it does say pending manager approval. Now this doesn't mean we can't work with this customer. We can still create appointments and do whatever we need to do, create production orders. It's just letting you know that your manager can revoke it if they need to. Okay. Now let's go back to all, and that'll show us all our customers. And so here's our customer list. Now when you first get into Influence FM, you're going to notice your next appointment is always none. Okay, and we never want that. In this system, now some people don't have to necessarily use it like this, and I'll show you a way to not do this, but our system, there is no such thing as a prospect. Everything on your customer list should be someone that you're taking care of. I know they're prospects, but you should always have a next appointment for them. Now, for those of you that want to separate your prospects from your customers, we have this rating system, and this is completely arbitrary, meaning you could use this any way you want and categorize these any way you want. So for instance, maybe you want to put your prospects as P. You can do that. Then you can use the filter right here. A lot of people miss this filter. And there's lots of options, but one is the rating type. So maybe I only want to see my prospects. It then will show me only customers that I rated P. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and turn this filter off, remove the filter. Okay, so really everything in Influence FM should be treated as a customer essentially, meaning you should always have an appointment. There's not really such thing as a prospect. You should always have your next appointment set, and you can see your next appointment none. Okay, well let's fix that. I need to get in and see this person. And some of you might be going, well, it's a prospect, right? I don't know when I'm going to see them. That's fine. Just put something on your calendar so you have something in the future, and you can adjust it later. So let's go down here to action, and this action button is really kind of your go-to button in the system. Click on action, and the first thing we're going to do is add a new appointment. And you can see there it's showing me the calendar date of today's date. So today at 1:45, I cannot book this appointment for 6:30 radio here. Well, let's see what tomorrow looks like. Let's go to the first, and let's view what tomorrow looks like. Okay, so I have something at 8 and 8:30. You can also open up a new tab up here, and you can have your calendar open. So you can do that too. So having two tabs open is definitely an option. So you can have the two options there to be able to switch back and forth. But this is another way to do it. So either do a new tab or actually look at the different days in here and just click on view this date. Okay, so actually let's go back. Let's see, I can't do it at 8 and 8:30. Okay, so let's do it tomorrow at 9. Again, this isn't set in stone. We're just setting up our pipeline. We're just setting it up so something's in the future. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see 6:30 Radio Inc. tomorrow at 9 o'clock, but as soon as 9 o'clock comes around and if I get to see them, great. If I don't, I can readjust it. I can move that to a different date. Okay, and let's say this client was owned by somebody before me. Okay, well, first of all, here's the contact name. So this is the owner of the business. And I can pull up their details here, so all their information, like their phone numbers and whatnot, but I can view the history. So let's say this client was owned before I owned it. I can click on history, and it's going to tell me everything that was said in the past to that customer. Okay? So I'd have a good idea what the last rep said to that customer, what happened, so I have a good idea of how I need to approach this client. Okay? So I can put in the duration. Let's say it's a 30-minute deal. Is it an in-person call to do? Is it a reminder? Is it an email? We'll say it's a call. I'm going to try and call them. And I could put it, and by the way, I know I'm clicking on these things here, appointment types. I know you can't see the drop downs, but when I click on this here, like this call, there's options in here. You have a in-person, call, to do, reminder, email. You guys can't see them for some reason. The recording software doesn't let us, but I selected call. And the priority. I can select high, medium, or low. If I select high, it's going to put an exclamation point on that calendar event on my calendar, on that appointment on my calendar. It's going to put a big exclamation point in bold at the very beginning. Now, it says concerning. Now, these concerning types, you see it says select here. When I click on that, it's going to show me a list. Again, you won't see that list. I'll read a few of them off to you. This concerning type, this is really important. If you guys are new to Influence FM, if there's something that you need in the concerning types, let your manager know and they could add those. So for instance, I've got CNAs, cold calls, copy calls, closing non-annuals, closing annuals, event marketing, closing follow-ups, and so on. So I'm just going to put this as a cold call and put in the description. And I can say something like, looks like 3 years ago they advertised with us. And then we'll say I am going to try him to buy an annual. Now these notes in this description box are pretty important. One, this is all recorded in the history, so you can go back and look later what you said to that customer in the past. But also this is reported to your manager. All the details you put in here, that way you don't have to explain every little nuance to your manager. You don't have to tell them what happened. You don't have to go through all the little details. It's all emailed to them in a report. They can go in the system and look at it. Again, they also get that emailed report. So just putting as much as you can in the system helps you spend less time with your manager, but also you being on top of your game, knowing what you've done with your customers in the past. Because as we know in radio, you can be juggling 80 clients, 120 clients. Things can easily slip through the cracks. Things can be forgotten. You put all your data in here, you can always go back and look at it. Next option is to set a reminder. So if I want to be notified 10 minutes before, 30 minutes before, I can click on Add Reminder. And it put it at 30 by default. I can change that to 15 minutes before, 20 minutes before, hours, days, anything I want. Okay, we're not going to set a reminder on that. Those are real handy for like annual or for closing calls. And then I can also invite people. So it says, would you like to invite anyone? So I can invite people in the company on my appointment. So maybe I want Scott, my manager, to go with me. I also want Leah to go with me. I can invite as many people as I want and hit Save Changes. And then that puts it on my calendar. Now I'm going to just get rid of these because we actually are in a live database right now. I can also have these reoccur as well. So click on reoccurring. And this works just like Gmail's or Outlook's reoccurring system. So if I want it to repeat every week, day, month, or whatever, I can do that. And then I'm going to hit Save Changes here. Hey, look at that. Next appointment, 10:31. And I can actually click on these and it'll take me to that appointment on the calendar. Okay, so that's how we want to get rid of all those. So your whole goal is to go through the system. This is probably the most tedious part of setting up on Influence FM, is going through and doing a next appointment for all your customers. Going through action, new appointment, setting your appointment, move down to the next one, action, new appointment. And again, if you don't know when you're going to see that client next, just put, maybe it's just some client that you got and you know sometime you're going to go see them. Not right now, but it's sometime in the future. So just put it 2 months ahead. Maybe it's an event that's next year. Well, okay, well, go ahead and put it on your calendar for next year. Just go ahead and get everything filled out as much as possible on your calendar so you have a pipeline set up and you can adjust it later. Once we get everything on the calendar, it's really easy to adjust things. We can click and drag and move stuff around. For those of you that haven't used a Gmail calendar or Outlook calendar, is what I mean by clicking and dragging. You can literally click on the appointment and pull it over to another date, so it's really easy to reschedule stuff. Okay. So let's finish off over here. So the details column gives you your next appointment, and you can click on these and they'll actually take you to your calendar on that appointment. The last time you saw that client, and I have none in there because I just started using the system, but once you start using the system, it'll actually tell you the date of the last time you saw that client and the status of that client. Are they a prospect or not? I know I said there's no prospects in the system. What this means is that they've never had a contract on air. So this customer has never had a contract on air with us. Let me see if I can find one that has. I'm in my test account right now. Here, let me switch over to someone else real quick. Let's go over to Leah. I just need to show you what I mean here. There we go. Instead of status, it says off air. It tells you how long they've been off the air for. And then this one's right here. Contract ends 12/31. So it tells you when the contract ends. It'll also email you too. This feature is kind of cool, and this is integrated with SmartRate, and we'll go over that in another video, but it knows when your contracts end. And the system will email you 1 month before and let you know, hey, this contract's about to end. And if you don't get a new contract in the system within another 2 weeks of that date, it'll email you again and say, hey, don't forget about this customer. Don't let that contract lapse. So kind of a neat little automation there for you. While we're here, we'll just stay on Leah's list. You notice I selected Leah up here. You guys, regular sales reps won't see these drop downs, so don't worry about those. I'm just moving around the system to show you guys some features. Next column over, we have what is called the ratings column. Now, we kind of went over this at the beginning of this video. This ratings system is completely arbitrary. You can use it however you want. If you recall in the beginning, I was going to give all my prospects a P. But you can maybe want to give your people that don't pay you on time an F and use other ways to categorize this. You can categorize it any way you want. You can use the filter up here to be able to select the rating, whatever you want to do there. And then you only see those customers with that rating. Now these numbers under here, how much they're projected to spend with you last month, last year, the grand total lifetime value of that customer. That's really handy if you get a new customer and you haven't dealt with them before. It tells you, well, this customer spent $14,000 with us, and it looks like most of that was last year. They have none set in the future or projected and none last month. Okay. All right, well, so I know that. Here's another one. Gives us some more money there. Let me see if I can find one that is. There we go. They're projected to spend $3,237 with us. So it kind of gives you an idea. Again, if you get a new customer on your list and you don't know much about them, it kind of tells you how much money they've spent with you. Now, you can edit these manually. They are updated automatically once you start using SmartRate, our contract generating system. But if you first start using the system and you haven't put any contracts into the system, but you know how much ACE cash spent with you in the past, and let's say they're on the air right now. Okay, so let's say Ace Cash here is on the air with us, and I know how much they've spent in total so far. Well, they signed a $12,000 contract with us. Okay, and their contract ends here. Just highlight this and put this at 2018. And then just choose when their contract ends. So let's just say it ends in, let's see, what's the date today? October 31st. So October 31st, 2019. So if I hit save on that, it's going to update my total down here. Let me hit cancel on this. If I put save on that, it's going to put my total at $12,000, and it's going to change this from prospect to contract ends on 10/31/2019, and the system will email me. But again, once you start using SmartRate, all these numbers will be automated. But in the beginning, if you want to start putting those in there, you can. Now let's go back to the action button. So after new appointment, we have the ability to view or /edit a customer's details, and that's the same as clicking on the customer over here. So that's the same thing. Clicking on that or that is the same thing, and it's going to open it up to where I can edit the customer information, their social media information, add another contact, say whether they're an agency or not, and so on. It's pretty straightforward. I can also view the history of this customer. So what happened in the past? This is nice, so I don't have to go digging through my calendar and see what was said to this customer. I can see what the description is here. So let's come down here. She scheduled a follow-up closing with Dustin on 10/22. The outcome, no luck, get in contact with Dustin. So she couldn't track him down. So it shows you what you had scheduled and what the outcome of that appointment was, the date, the time, all that good stuff, everybody involved. You can also add notes to the history right here without using the calendar. These are all taken from the calendar and they're automatically put in here, but maybe you want to add a note to the history, like maybe you saw one of your clients on Saturday, you weren't expecting to see them, so you want to add a note to the history and you can put it right there. View all the future appointments that are set, and you can see this one doesn't have any, but let's go here. Next appointment, 11/21. That's great, it tells me the date, but what are the details on it? Set appointment to get Feb or March through July by. Okay, I was curious about that. What was I supposed to do on that appointment? Okay. Now, again, this only tells you the date. This tells you some more details, but every once in a while you'll have more than one appointment set for that client. Maybe you're doing a bunch of stuff for that client, a bunch of ads, all kinds of different stuff. If you click on that, it'll show you everything you have in the future for that client. Now, CNAs here. This allows you to view all your old CNAs you've done for the client. Okay, you can also do a new CNA from here. I recommend using your calendar for this because this doesn't register it on in the sales numbers. It's more kind of like an afterthought, but down here is where you can view all the old CNAs that were done in the past. So again, if you get a client that was transferred to you, for instance, this client is now Leah's client, and you can see she did some stuff for him in 2017 and 18, but before her it was Sean that had this client, and before him it was Eric. So I can look at the CNAs they did if I want to. View the demographics for this client. So this is entered in manually. I don't know how many people use this, but if you feel like putting in what your customers' demographics are like, male versus female, hours of operation, age, income, and so on, you can do that if you like. You can also print off this customer's details. So if you just want to print off the details for this customer, the phone numbers, the names, and all that, you can do that. We can print your entire customer list as well, but that's how you just print the your one customer. Again, we can print your entire customer list, and I will show you how to do that before this video is done. You can get rid of customers. So you can see here, send open prospects. So let's just say this client is not going to buy from you. Just no matter what you do, they won't see you. They don't want to have anything to do with you. Well, get it off your list and send it to the prospect list. Send a prospect list. It'll ask you why. You'll tell your manager, hey, I just can't get in and see this guy. I've got too many fish to fry. Not worth my time. Add a sticky note. That's what these are over here. So these are really important. The idea behind sticky notes, how they're intended to be used, is for really important information that you need to stick out about a client. So let's say they hate the Phoenix Cardinals, which is our football team, and of course we love them here in Arizona. But maybe they don't like the Phoenix Cardinals, and if you bring up the Phoenix Cardinals, you'll be stuck in a football conversation for 15 minutes. So you may want to put that on there. Again, sticky notes think of it as like a sticky note, a little piece of paper you tear off and you put on that client to always remind you of something important about that client. And when you add a sticky note, they always stay on that client. Of course, you can edit and delete them, and you can add multiple sticky notes if you want. Now, Protect or make an account seasonal. Let's see if we can find a seasonal account. So why would you do that? Well, a lot of times you have seasonal accounts. It may be a fair, or it may be a protected account. The reason they're called protected and seasonal, obviously seasonal is pretty self-explanatory. Protected would be like your local chamber of commerce. This feature in general, protected or seasonal accounts, is intended for businesses that you don't need to see on a regular basis. So if you protect or make it seasonal, the system then doesn't notify you when you haven't seen that client in a while. It doesn't bug you. It doesn't bother you with it. So that's why that feature's there. And when you do that, it'll put a little icon here that says that it's protected. Now last, you can view or slash, sorry, I said view. I didn't want to do that. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. You can view / add any files that you want. So here's all the files for that client. They're always attached to this client. I can upload more if I want. I could download these if I want. So maybe I'll download this one and this one. Download, hit apply. Oops, looks like that one doesn't. Oh, it's because, yeah, our Dropbox isn't hooked up to this account. Anyways, so it'll download those files for you, and then you have them on your computer. Okay, that's kind of the first part of the customer list, and really that's most of it. That's really 90% of everything. You have some other options here to where you can click on your contracts and view all your contracts for that client, view all your production orders for that client. We'll be going over contracts and production orders in other videos. This little follow button, only management sees this. This is just so if a manager's looking at your list and they decide a customer is important to them, they click that to follow. It'll notify them when you add a sticky note or you add an appointment and some other stuff. It'll let them know that, it's just a way for a manager to keep an eye on that client that's not on their list. Okay. Now, I told you I was going to show you how to print your entire customer list, and it's probably the #1 thing we get asked. Okay, well, first thing you want to do is scroll to the bottom. It says customers per page. You're going to want to set that to all, okay? And depending on how many clients you have, it may take it a little while. So for instance, this customer list, Leah's has 154, so I'm going to set it to all. It shouldn't take longer than about 10 seconds or so, but the reason it takes so long is because it's calculating all these numbers right here, the projected, it's looking at all these dates. So there's a lot that our system does. The good thing is it gives you a lot of information, but the bad thing is that it can take a while if you try to load a bunch of customers at once. And you did see I loaded all, but you can also, you probably didn't see that drop down, customers per page. It does say all as one of the options, but it also says 20, 30, 40, and you can pick the amount you want. But I loaded all, and so right now you can see the customer list over here is loading 140 right now. So give it a minute here, and we'll then be able to print our entire list. Like I said, shouldn't take longer than 10, maybe 15 seconds, but we'll see here. Well, it's taking a little bit longer than I thought. Maybe my internet's going a little bit slow. Nevertheless, okay, so once you get your list loaded, is what you want to do. You'll select, oh, there it goes, of course, when I go to do it. You select all your customers. See it from the top check mark. I select all of them. I don't have to select all of them, though. And then we come up here to bulk actions. Print, print simple. Difference between print and print simple. Print is all of your customers' details. The print simple, just simply, I forget that you guys can't see these. I'm so sorry about that. But there's some options here in the bulk actions. And I'm going to show the first option is print. That'll print all the details for your customer. The print simple, the next option is just a simplified version of your list. It's just names, phone numbers, and emails. You can also email all the customers you have selected. You can also make a bunch protected or seasonal. This is how you merge too. There's a merge option in here. Obviously, you only have that when you have 2 or 3 selected. You're not going to merge all your customers together. And then you also have the option to get rid of a bunch of customers at once. It says send to open prospect list. And then transfer customers, your manager will see transfer customers, you will not, but it allows your managers to transfer customers in bulk. And then the send to trash option is the last option, and that allows you to send your customers to the trash. You're getting rid of them. You're not sending them to the open prospect list. You're not transferring them to anybody else. They are going in the trash. We can recover them though. If you ever trash a customer, just get a hold of us down here in our chat support, and we'll help you out. So once you've chose your bulk action, so I'm going to choose print. I'm going to hit apply. Now, really important, everybody needs to take note of this. When you go to print the first time, you'll probably see nothing happen. And that's because your pop-ups are being blocked. Look in the top right-hand corner of your browser, and it's going to say pop-ups are being blocked. You're going to click on that and say allow pop-ups. When you do that one time, you'll never have to do it again. Okay? So I'm going to hit print, and it'll pull up my list for me. And it opened it in a new tab. You can't see it, I don't think, with the recording software, but you'll be able to print that list if you want to print it out. Okay? So that is pretty much it on the customer list. If you guys ever need any help at all, use our chat system down here. We answer this very quickly. We also have a 800 number down here. You can ask us. So if you need any help at all, just get a hold of us.